And now, Knock 2 Studios presents Censored.
What's up, everybody? And welcome back to Censored. It's Friday, and we've got Trump piloting a giant eagle, restoring the Republic, retrieving the American flag from oblivion, from the cold depths of the Democrat hellscape. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for being here. I'm Lord Sterling, and this is Censored, episode 142. And as usual, we've got all kinds of crazy news to go over today. A pedophile has been convicted and sentenced to castration. Woo! Woo! Next step, make impaling great again. Oh, did they have to pass legislation to make this a thing? Wouldn't this be considered cruel and unusual punishment? I'm not against it. I'm just saying, are there legal loopholes they had to go through here to make this happen? We'll have to investigate. A KAMALA SS agent, that's Secret Service, but might as well be using the term SS at this point, had a meltdown, a misadventure of menstrual pad madness. Pretty crazy stuff. Weinstein, Harvey's rape conviction has been overturned. Man, crazy stuff. Let's start off the broadcast with Threeper's quote of the day. And then we'll do the housekeeping type stuff, house cleaning, whatever it's called. Threeper's quote of the day: "The evils of tyranny are rarely seen, but by him who resists it." John Hay. That's right. Tyranny will present itself to you as if they have your best interest in their heart. The road to hell, so to speak, is paved with good intentions and lofty ideals. But when you resist the agenda, the velvet glove comes off of the iron fist, and you can see the tyranny for what it really is. The evils present themselves in the mask-off moment. That's what always tends to happen. Man, I'm mesmerized by this clip of Trump riding the eagle over here. I don't want to move on. I just want to stay watching that forever. But unfortunately, soon enough, we'll have to take it off the screen. Make sure to join us Monday through Friday, 6:30-ish p.m. Eastern Time, as we cover all the clown world chaos. And use hashtag #CommonCensored when you share the show on X, where you can find us at _CommonCensored. That's right. Who would have thought? You can also support the broadcast by going over to commoncensored.locals.com or hitting that big, beautiful join button right beneath the broadcast to sign up for $5 buckaroos a month, 5 smackers to keep the studio lights on and Loki's belly full of treats. She's not as big as that massive eagle, but she's almost as cool. She's pretty cool. Links to all of the content and videos and articles that we talk about will be in the description. So if you're watching this after the live show and you're pressed for time, feel free to click down in the description, look through the stories and topics we cover, and hone your time by clicking, looking at the timestamps and jumping to the right spot in the video to watch the coverage that's interesting to you. And thanks, Mama Mac, for the timestamps. Make sure to also check out alplama.com, your new herbal health guru, the official, unofficial sponsor of Common Censored, with natural tinctures to remedy all of your ailments. Check it out when you have time. And if you have questions, I'm sure they're happy to help you out. People in the chat can attest that their products are really good and help a lot. Disclaimer: views expressed on Common Censored are only opinions. Assume everything we say is false and research for yourself. We're not giving medical, legal, or financial advice. The only advice we are giving is think for yourself. Question authority. Think for yourself. Question authority. And pay no mind to Mama Mac, who says, think for authority and question yourself. That's craziness, Mama Mac. Smash that like button, guys. Thanks for being here today. Let's get into the news. We'll start off with our main headline story, because who can resist, right? We just want to talk about this. Louisiana judge sentences man to be physically castrated after pleading guilty of raping a 14-year-old. The eye for an eye, punishment fits the crime type scenario. I think this is pretty logical. Pretty logical. Anthony Scott wrote this article. A Louisiana judge has sentenced a man to physical castration after pleading guilty to raping a 14-year-old girl, according to District Attorney Scott Perilou. On April 17th, Glenn Sullivan, 54, pled guilty to 4 counts of second-degree rape. On Monday, Louisiana Judge William Dykes sentenced Sullivan to be physically castrated, along with serving a 50-year prison sentence. The only thing that would be worse than being castrated would be living for 50 years after being castrated. Are you kidding me? Just kill me at that point. God damn. Assistant District Attorney Brad Cassio told the press, quote, "I've had 3 people ordered to be chemically castrated, but to my knowledge, this is the first physical castration to be ordered." Wow. In 2008. Notably dumb. Don't do that. Just exile them. That also works. Over to Elba. We can send them. We've been broadcasting Notably Dumb. Maybe the notifications have been messed up or something, but we've been on every day. Hope you're having a good week, and happy Friday to you. TGIF, as they say. In 2008, Louisiana enacted a law that ordered men convicted of certain rape crimes to be chemically castrated or have the option to be physically castrated. Holy hell, this is so crazy. Per Yahoo News, Glenn Sullivan Sr., 54, pled guilty to raping a teen multiple times, resulting in pregnancy, according to prosecutors. Enhancement. All kinds of enhancements here. A Louisiana man has been sentenced and will be physically castrated. Let's check out this clip over here.
Case is getting a lot of attention after a judge issued a rare and much talked about punishment for a man who admitted to raping a young teenager.
The suspect will serve prison time and will be physically castrated. Miranda Thomas spoke with prosecutors today. Miranda.
Bananas.
Prosecutors say many sex crimes go unreported because victims are afraid.
I can see you, Threeper.
Hoping this case serves as an example.
Sorry, it's been
of what
fucking
could
up
happen
Notably
when
Dumb.
Victims come forward. Prosecutors
Rumble's
in
been having
Livingston
issues.
Parish say justice is finally served after 54-year-old Glenn Sullivan admitted he raped a young girl.
The allegations have began several years ago that Mr. Sullivan had repeatedly raped her And one of the rapes, actually the first rape, at the age of 14, she became pregnant.
A judge sentenced Sullivan to 50 years behind bars and physical castration. Castration is something Assistant District Attorney Brad Cassio says is not common, but paints a clear picture.
The state legislature gives us tools that we can use to fight crime and protect victims. And this is one of those tools in a prosecutor's toolbox that we have at our disposal. And if I have the opportunity to do it, and I think that it's just and that the crime calls for it, I'm going to try my best to use it.
Current law says a judge can issue a chemical castration as punishment in certain sex crime convictions, but a defendant can choose physical castration, which is what happened in Sullivan's case. State Senator Regina Barrow is working on legislation to expand the use of physical castration as a punishment for child sex crimes. Under her bill, a judge could order a physical castration for anyone convicted of a sex offense involving a child under the age of 13. The bill passed through the Senate floor on Tuesday afternoon. Barrow says it is a necessary change.
And it would change individuals' thinking as it relates. At least they'll think about it once they realize the real true consequence of having it cut off or eliminated. It may actually make them think twice before their actions.
By law, Sullivan's castration will take place no later than 1 week before his release. However, the Department of Corrections will make the final decision.
DOC could do it next week, or they could do it 40 years from now. You know, the victim did her job by coming forward, reporting her case, and sticking with it. Our office did our job by prosecuting it. The judge did his job, and now we trust DOC to do theirs.
Crazy. Good for her for having the guts to report it, follow through, and make it happen. Notably dumb. Thanks for the Rumble rant. Here's $1 for his penis. That's so brutal. Oh, man. Yeah, the only thing worse than being castrated would be being forced to live up to 50 years beyond it. He looks like, I don't know if he'll be lasted 50 years. First of all, being in prison for that. Ooh, man. I got a feeling it's not going to be around for that much longer. Let's jump into our next topic. And thanks again, Notably Dumb. I have become notably dumb. Is that based on Comfortably Numb? All right, let's move to the next story. Justice Kavanaugh asks Jack Smith's prosecutor why Barack Obama was never charged for drone strikes against civilians. Notably dumb. Thanks again. Second Rumble rant, pay-per-view castration. Would you like to know more? Classic Starship Troopers. Would you like to know more? This is for the prosthetic penis fund. Is that right? Red Crypto. Oh man, they do make prosthetic penises that are that have. It's not my bag, baby. Don't ask me how I know about this, but you have a little pump, and they inflate and extend. I guess it's good if you need it. Man. Yeah, so Justice Kavanaugh asks Jack Smith's prosecutor why Obama was never charged for drone strikes against civilians. Let's check out the clip.
How about President Obama's drone strikes?
So the Office of Legal Counsel looked at this very carefully and determined that, number one, the federal murder statute does apply to the executive branch. The president wasn't personally carrying out the strike, but the aiding and abetting laws are broad. And it determined that a public authority exception that's built into statutes and that applied particularly to the murder statute because it talks about unlawful killing did not apply to the drone strike. So this
Oh, so you're just declaring it legal.
this very carefully and determined that the Office of Legal Counsel
Office of Legal. Okay, so the president's Office of Legal Counsel just says it's legal. What does that have to do with states bringing charges against something later if the states decide it's illegal? That's the whole question of what's going on here is states are coming after Trump for various things. So, the Office of the Legal Counsel says it's totally fine to drone strike civilians that are Americans in foreign countries without due process. So we're not going to, we're just going to say it was legal. You don't have the authority to just declare it legal. That's what courts are for, to determine whether what you did was legal or not. So complete clown show, gets called out by Kavanaugh.
System should function. The Department of Justice takes strike. So this is actually the way that the system should function. The Department of Justice takes criminal law very seriously.
Oh, so by your logic, then Trump's Office of Legal Counsel could just say the same thing. Oh, everything he did was legal. So all these state charges are null and void, right? It's ridiculous.
It runs it through the analysis very carefully with established principles. It documents them, it explains them, and then the president can go forward in accordance with it. And there is no risk of prosecution for that course of activity.
Thank you for your
rules for thee, not for me. Yeah, notably dumb. Definitely send a screenshot or a video over to our DMs on X. And so I can see what's going on. I'm not sure how to describe the issue to Rumble because I haven't actually seen it. So yeah, send a video so I can see exactly what's going on, and I'll forward it over to them and ask for an explanation. John Sauer, a Missouri-based attorney for Trump, gave an opening statement on Thursday and argued that Jack Smith's indictment uses vague statutes to criminalize core authority of the president. Sauer argued that immunity protects past presidents such as George W. Bush for all the crazy crimes that he committed, and Barack Obama from being prosecuted for crimes they committed while in federal office. I'm starting to have a change of heart about this whole thing. Get rid of immunity entirely, because all these people need to be prosecuted for all this, right? They're being protected right now. Oh, man.
In case
partially joking. I really, I don't know at this
Trump
point.
Versus United States. Mr. Sauer?
Mr. Chief Justice, and may it please the court. Without presidential immunity from criminal prosecution, there can be no presidency as we know it.
Right. Or immunity creates an imperial presidency. What do you guys think of the chat? Let me know what you think about this.
For 234 years of American history, no president was ever prosecuted for his official acts. The framers of our Constitution viewed an
being prosecuted, though, you can be prosecuted by Congress in the impeachment and conviction process. So that may be the only method that logistically works, because there would be a conflict of interest with every, like on local prosecutions, because he's everybody's president. Everybody's got an opinion on the president. How can you find an unbiased jury? It would have to be Congress that does the impeachment process to prosecute any president, past or present, I would imagine.
Energetic executive as essential to securing liberty. Viewed an energetic executive as essential to securing liberty. If a president can be charged, put on trial, and imprisoned for his most controversial decisions as soon as he leaves office, that looming threat will distort the president's decision-making precisely when bold and fearless action is most needed.
Right. But also, I feel like presidents should be nervous about being prosecuted, because we don't want the presidents or the federal government to overstep their boundaries, which in the Constitution are specifically very strict. So wouldn't it be good if they have to analyze everything that they're doing, because we really don't want them to be doing anything? Yeah, you could also post it in our Discord, Notably Dumb, or email it to commoncensoredshow@gmail.com, which I'm going to have to get rid of and switch over to Proton Mail. Let's continue here.
Every current president will face de facto blackmail and extortion by his political rivals while he is still in office. The implications of the court's decision here extend far beyond the facts of this case. Could President George W. Bush have been sent to prison for...
And all this stuff is being protected by this idea of immunity. Maybe we just need to strip immunity for judges, strip immunity for presidents, and make it as difficult as possible for the president and the federal government to do anything by making them all worry about being prosecuted for everything they do, because we basically want them to do nothing. That's the point of the balance of powers, the separation of powers, is to have it like a back and forth so that each branch prevents the other branches from assuming too much power and from taking too much action. Congress is effectively designed to stagnate the legislative process, to make it impossible for anything to happen so that they can't take too much power. Cowgirl, well, you can't have a two-tiered justice system, whatever the immunity thing is. That's for sure. It's got to be a universal standard. And that's what also makes immunity kind of sketchy to me, because that creates a second tier, right? Shouldn't everybody, including the president, be subject to the Constitution and to the laws? So I don't know. I'm not sure how to feel about all this. If we're getting suckered into backing the idea of an imperial president just because we like Trump and we don't want Trump to be prosecuted, even though none of this stuff none of these things are actually criminal acts that they're coming after Trump for. So he doesn't need the immunity anyway, because these are all phony charges. SCOTUS should limit itself to its mandate, stop mucking around in things they have no poking their nose into. Yeah, exactly. And maybe if they could be charged, then they would be less likely to poke their noses around into stuff. So maybe we just need to scrap immunity for everybody and make everybody terrified to do anything that could be construed as illegal, just like regular citizens. That's right, cowgirl. Trump didn't do nothing. Leave Donald Trump alone.
Or obstructing an official proceeding, or allegedly lying to Congress to induce war in Iraq? Could President Obama be charged with murder for killing U.S. citizens abroad by drone strike? Could President Biden someday be charged?
So maybe immunity isn't good. Immunity just from the states, because by default they're, biased potentially against the president. But Congress should have the exclusive authority. I mean, if you're part of the federal government, then how does the state have jurisdiction to charge you for federal, for actions as the federal executive anyway? I don't know. It's all weird.
With unlawfully inducing immigrants to enter the country illegally for his border policies? The answer to all these questions is no. Prosecuting the president for his official acts is an innovation with no foothold.
Sounds
in
good to me,
history or
Mom Mac.
tradition,
I don't want him doing
incompatible
anything.
with our constitutional structure. The original meaning of the executive vesting clause, the framers' understanding and intent, an unbroken historical tradition spanning 200 years, and policy considerations rooted in the separation of powers all counsel against it. I welcome the court's questions.
So really interesting. It's going to be fascinating to see how this all plays out for sure. And we've got some Soros stuff coming up as well. Mama Mac. We'll come back to the immunity stuff in a little bit. For now, let's jump over to another highly bizarre clown world story. DEI fail. Secret Service agent assigned to heels up Harris threw menstrual pads at other agents before getting into brawl at Joint Base Andrews. Well, that's one way to go about things. Michelle Herzeg, major DEI fail. Christina Layla wrote this article at Gateway Pundit. Who vetted this agent? As previously reported, an armed Secret Service agent assigned to Kamala Heels Up Harris got into a physical fight with other agents at Joint Base Andrews on Monday morning. According to reports, the problem agent, identified as Michelle Herzeg, began acting aggressively, speaking gibberish and shouting incoherently at other agents while they were near the lounge at JBA. Interesting. Herzeg reportedly threw menstrual pads at another agent before getting into a brawl at Joint Base Andrews. Real Clear Politics reported that Herzeg grabbed a male agent's personal cell phone and began deleting apps on it before she completely melted down. Agent Herzeg had to be physically restrained and her firearm was taken away from her. She was handcuffed and taken to the hospital in an ambulance. This is so weird. What happened? Was she dosed with something? Herseg then chest bumped and shoved her superior, then tackled him and punched him. After being taken to the hospital in an ambulance and having her firearm taken away and physically restrained? It has to be before, right? The agents involved in restraining Herseg were especially concerned because she still had her gun in her holster. They wrestled her to the ground, took the gun from her, cuffed her, then removed her from the terminal. Real Clear Politics reported one other agent was also hospitalized. KAMALA was at the Naval Observatory at the time of the fight. The New York Post reported that Agent Herseg previously filed a $1 million gender discrimination lawsuit against the city of Dallas while she was a police officer. Interesting. I hope those were, unused menstrual pads that she was throwing. Sorry. Real Clear Politics reported several sources in the Secret Service community identified the agent who physically attacked her superior as Michelle Herseg. The altercation occurred at approximately 9 a.m. at Joint Base Andrews, the home base for the Air Force One and Air Force Two, the call signs of the Boeing aircraft used by the president and vice president. Harris was at the Naval Observatory, and it did not delay her travel, said agency spokesman Anthony Guglielmi. That's a crazy name. Herseg showed up at the terminal and began acting erratically, grabbing another senior agent's personal cell phone, deleting apps. This is highly weird. Mumbling to herself, hiding behind curtains, throwing items, including menstrual pads, at an agent telling him that he would need them later to save another agent, and telling her peers that they were, quote, going to burn in hell and needed to listen to God. I am so confused about this. This is so weird. Let me know if you guys have any updates on this story. That's right, Threeper. She sounds about right. She got the used pads from her boyfriend, maybe from her boyfriend. Oh, that doesn't work as well. From your wife's boyfriend. Yeah, it doesn't really work as well. Reversed. D, we've got a troll in the house. What's up, D? How you doing? Good to see you. The Reaper MK Ultra. Who knows what's going on? Crazy B Gaming. Nice. Everybody check out Crazy B's gaming channel. That sounds like fun. Jet lag. Good to see you, bro. Thanks for being here. Happy Friday to you as well. Don't read it. Notably dumb. They probably will and should. Boom. Let's see what we got next. We've got the crazy AG down in Arizona. She was busted saying the quiet part out loud before announcing the indictment against the electors, the indictments against the electors down in Arizona. She was on camera talking about how we absolutely have to get President Biden reelected, showing her partisanship and, emphasizing. Sorry, notably. Where is the comment? There's a comment over here. Stop calling me dumb, he says. There we go. Boom. Yeah, so she's over here revealing her partisanship, just exposing what a corrupt persecution and one-sided situation this all is over there. Arizona Attorney General Chris Mays said the quiet part out loud late last month before announcing that 18 individuals were indicted by an Arizona grand jury in the latest election interference witch hunt against President Trump and his allies. While speaking about abortion with MSNBC 3 weeks ago and claiming that Republicans will enact a federal abortion ban, Chris Mays declared, quote, "We absolutely have to get President Biden reelected." It can be recalled that lawless Attorney General Chris Mays previously vowed not to enforce any current Arizona abortion laws if she's elected. You don't have the authority to do that. It's ridiculous. Your job is to enforce the law. You can't just arbitrarily not enforce it, which is what George Soros is paying people to do all over the country. It's madness. It's total madness. And she's outright saying that she's not going to follow the law. We will never prosecute a doctor, a nurse, a pharmacist, a midwife, a woman, or a friend helping a woman for abortion care, regardless of what law is on the books. You don't have that authority. Completely madness. Insane that she would even be willing to say this out loud. It's one thing to like hide it, and pretend like you're doing your job, and then not do it. Evil! But to actually outright say, we're not going to be enforcing the laws. It's insane. It's completely insane. However, as the Gateway pundit reported, Chris Mays, who stole her election from Republican Abe Hameda by 280 votes, remember that whole thing? Craziness, announced the charges on Wednesday afternoon for the non-crime of questioning an election. She defended her witch hunt and the curious timing of the indictment just months before the 2024 general election. Bongino had some good info as well in his show earlier today. Let me pull it up real quick regarding the information, the whole, why is this not coming up over here in Rumble? Regarding the idea of alternate electors. Here we go. Oh, actually, that's not the right one. I'll have to come back to it. I'll find it during the next video that we play because it was pretty good. He had one of the Supreme Court justices getting reamed and about this topic as well. So yeah, these charges obviously are a warning shot, trying to create a chilling effect so that people go along with the election. And just like Threeper's quote of the day, you only see the evil in tyranny when you go against it, when you resist. And so these guys resisted the tyranny down in Arizona, and promptly they're all being charged. It's so ridiculous. Let's check out this clip of her admitting that this is all effectively political.
If you pay for a doorbell camera subscription,
brief
stop doing that now. This $40 home security camera only
these rights.
Well, as my colleague from Massachusetts just mentioned, we absolutely have to get President Biden reelected, because one of my fears is, despite the fact that Republicans said they wanted to send this back to states for states to decide, I think there's a real movement in the sort of extreme elements.
We absolutely have to get President Biden reelected. They'll do anything. These people have been conditioned to think that President Trump is effectively Hitler. So they'll do anything to prevent him from being elected, including wantonly violating the law. Let's jump over here to Bongino, and let's see if we can find this clip. It was right towards the start. Oh, yeah, look at this. New York Times. We talked about this yesterday with Big Brother watching you. They're like, it's a good thing. Big Brother will watch you and protect you. New York Times now is saying surveillance law section 702 keeps us safe. FISA should be able to just spy on people without warrants. Completely nuts. All right, let's jump into this clip here.
Or in the past did they argue this? But now the Democrats are taking the opposite position, that presidential electors, if you dare have a slate ready to go, alternate electors, which has been done many times, that this could be a crime. And she says it as a premise to the question. Take a listen.
Apply it to the allegations here. What is plausible about the president assisting in creating a fraudulent slate of electoral candidates? Assuming you accept the facts of the complaint on their face, is that plausible that would be within his right to do?
Absolutely, Your Honor. We have the historical precedent we cited in the lower courts of President Grant sending federal troops to Louisiana and Mississippi in 1876 to make sure that the Republican electors got certified in those two cases, which delivered the election to Rutherford B. Hayes. The notion that it's completely implausible, I think, just can't be supported based on the face of this indictment.
So you see the anti-communist and anti-communist play going on here, the iron law of contradiction. The Democrats are full of shit. They don't stand for anything. The New York Times and the ACLU and others told you for years, government spying, the CIA, this was all awful, terrible. They'd out them all the time. Now they're all in. Why are they all in? Because they think they can use it to target you. They don't care. They don't care if they're flipping and doing a total 180. They don't care at all. Sonia Sotomayor there is actually implying that having a slate of alternate presidential electors because you dispute the outcome of a state, which has been done many times,
Tons of
implies
times.
in her question that that's some kind of nefarious activity. Of course, she gets legally smacked around by Trump's lawyer because Sotomayor is not that bright, which was awesome. And I'll get back to the court case a little bit later, but this is about the contradiction law here. Look at his CNN piece. Van Jones and Lawrence Lessig, two devout lefties. Why Pennsylvania should take its time counting votes. Here they argue the exact opposite case. And by the way, this is also tied to that Arizona thing where a bunch of folks in the Trump orbit were just indicted for being what they call fake electors. On that day, assuming the final count of the popular vote has not been certified. Both slates of Pennsylvania presidential electors, both slates, how can there be two slates? We've been told by Democrats that's a crime. Here's Van Jones and Lawrence Lessig, two lefties on CNN. Both slates should meet in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Both slates should cast their votes by ballot. And Pennsylvania Governor
Seems like
Tom Wolf
normal activity.
should await the final resolution of the popular vote count before
They
he
didn't get the
certifies
talking
which
points
slate
yet
should
that were
represent
saying
the
this is
state.
bad, I
Holy
guess.
shit, that sounds like what Donald Trump did. Now it's a crime. People are indicted, though. That's a crime. Sonia Sotomayor is implying in the immunity case it was a crime, too. But they argued for it a few years ago. The iron law of contradiction. Whatever you believe in, the anti-communists will take the opposite position because you are an obstacle to them, and they will try to crush you with it.
Boom. Anything Trump says, they say the opposite. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter what the implications are. That's how this works. It's like they're serial contrarians, right? Where they just say, no, whatever it is, Trump's evil. They'll do the opposite, even if it means they're contradicting themselves constantly. Thanks, Mama Mac. Let's jump over to our next topic. This is a pretty funny one. Over here, Elon, the meme wizard, dropping a good one. Babe, tell me the truth. Look at this meme. I want to fight climate change. Be honest. I am being honest. Be honest. I want communism. Thank you. So that's what this is. It's all a front. Climate change is it's that road to hell being paved with good intentions thing again, where they're like, oh, we're trying to save the planet, we're trying to save the people, but in reality, they just want to centralize power and control, and they want communism. A lot of the underlings running around pushing the climate change agenda probably don't understand that because they're actually idiots who believe the propaganda. But we know what's going on. The people that are pushing it actually just want communism. This is a global communist takeover. Speaking of the globe and globes in general, the concept of globes, check out this. This is pretty wild. We have the director of NASA over here revealing that he doesn't understand how the solar system works, which is hilarious.
They are going to have a lander on the far side of the moon, which is the side that's always in dark.
Whoa. The dark side of the moon is not actually a thing. Yes, the moon is tidally locked and one side always faces Earth, but as the moon rotates around Earth and the sun is stationary, all sides of the moon are exposed to light. That's why sometimes the moon looks like a half moon because the shadow of the sun is coming from different directions. The idea that one side of the moon is always dark. This is the guy running NASA who doesn't understand basic geometry and perspectives. Hilarious.
We're not planning to go there.
And why not? And what's the benefit of doing so?
We don't know what's on the backside of the moon, so that would be something that they would discover. But our decision...
By the way, hit pause and start this over.
Gotta be
I'm watching it.
kidding me, dude. You got to be kidding me. He's pretending they don't know what's on the back of the moon. We've sent probes out like so far, way past the moon. The Voyager probe, slingshotting around Saturn or whatever it is, and off into deep space. We've been past the moon before, and we have plenty of images. So the idea we don't know what's there is madness. This is NASA for you. Just a total clown show. Total clown show. D, thanks for joining us on Rumble. Mandy, I see you over there too. Good to see you.
And again, it's so ridiculous. When you see the astronauts, in the spaceship going by, and you see the sunlight and the moon, then they go into the dark. That's because that part of the moon was in the dark then. Like when it's nighttime in Texas or nighttime in Australia, that means the planet is rotated away from the sun.
Yeah, so the moon doesn't rotate relative to Earth, but as the moon goes around the Earth, it rotates relative to the sun. So half of the moon is always in darkness. At least half, more than half when there's a lunar eclipse. Hilarious. I don't know. I haven't watched the rest of this video yet, but I just saw the beginning and thought that was insane. That the director of NASA literally has no idea what's going on. Alicia Savage! I must have missed you over there, Alicia. How you doing? Hope you're having a good day. And week. Dry those tears. Turn that frown upside down. I'm here for you. I see you. Crazy. Let's talk about another weird story. When an article starts off with Florida man, it's going to be pretty interesting, right? The trope. So we have a Florida man arrested for theft while dressed like a woman to try to avoid police. He tried to steal a boat. I don't know if he put on the outfit after to try to blend in with the crowd and get away. They got him. Florida man arrested for theft while dressed like a woman to avoid police. Cassandra McDonald wrote this article at Gateway Pundit, formerly Cassandra Fairbanks. Look at him. Look at him over here with his big old sunglasses and his 5 o'clock shadow. His giant Adam's apple sticking out of his neck and his broad, robust shoulders. Such a dainty little lass. It's ma'am. In a plot that sounds straight out of a 1980s movie, a Florida man has been arrested for theft while dressed as a woman to avoid being noticed by police. Joshua Kalotka, 33, was arrested by police in Glades County on Wednesday for allegedly trying to steal a boat. Gulf Live reports Glades County Sheriff's Office deputies were actively searching for a man they suspected of stealing a boat in the old Calusa Lodge area of Lakeport, Florida, when they noticed someone exiting a nearby home. Though Kalotka wore a long blonde wig and a blue dress, deputies immediately recognized him. In a post on Facebook, Glades County Sheriff's Office wrote, quote, "The deputies were able to apprehend Joshua Kalotka, and he was arrested for 2 Okeechobee County warrants, along with the theft of a John Deere Gator and the stolen boat." Hilarious. Nice try, but it didn't work. It should also be noted that numerous other items were located on scene. The Post continued these items were possibly stolen from the same area. The Glades County Sheriff Office is now working with the Seminole Police Department to identify some of these stolen items from the other theft cases in that area. Boom. Busted. Pretty funny, though. Dressing up like a woman to try to evade the cops. Let's see, what do we got next? Oh, this is a highly bizarre story. This is weird. Big Ben's hands freeze at 9 a.m. for more than an hour, and then the bells ring 11 times in some weird 9/11 symbolism as horses, black and white horse, are released, escaping, running around London drenched in blood, evoking pale horse apocalypse imagery. Let's check out this story. This is weird. Jess sent this to me earlier today. Make sure to go check out Jess on Instagram. She's always posting tons of really, really good stuff at JESSSSSIEW. That's Jessie W with 5 S's. Let's check out this bizarre story.
This is the Rebel Call Channel. Welcome to today's show. I have to do a story on what occurred with Big Ben over in London. Big Ben, of course, is the famous clock tower over in London. And I'm covering this because it's very suspicious what occurred with Big Ben. And Big Ben shut off right around the same time that those horses somehow got loose, running amok around the streets of London. Of course, I covered that yesterday in a separate video that you can go and see here on my channel, where the white horse was covered in blood, and it was a white horse and a black horse. And this has significant meaning in scripture. Of course, we all automatically think of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, as did most people when they saw horses running free in the UK, running around, covered in blood. I mean, it was a very bizarre scene. But of course, I looked at it as some type of a warning that they're sending a message. And I think that this is just more truth to that notion, because while this was going on, Big Ben, the clock tower, stopped working at 9 a.m. So at 9 a.m. in the morning, the clock just stopped working. It malfunctioned, right? And then the clock chimed 11 times. It chimed 11 times. So there is a significance to that, right? The number 9 and the number 11. And there's multiple meanings to it in regards to this story. But of course, we all think of one thing when we think of that date, 9/11. But let me read this to you first. So the time, place, and the structure was frozen at 9 a.m. until 10 a.m. So the whole hour it was frozen. Before its hands were seen being moved forward to display the correct time. A House of Commons spokesman admitted that the dials on what is formerly known as the Great Clock of Westminster were temporarily displayed the incorrect time before the issue was rectified. The hourly strikes of the bells were also paused and will resume at midday. They too reportedly malfunctioned by performing 11 chimes, so froze at 9, then performed 11 chimes as it moved to the correct time, which happened to be at 10:06. Of course, if we look at numerology, for those of you that are new to this, numerology is very significant to the occult. They use numerology all the time in the events that occur. A lot of events occur on the date 322. 322 is very significant to the occult. And most of the numerology that they use actually ties into
322. This is the Skull and Bones logo over here. Just FYI.
Into the Bible and, of course, into prophecy. So 322, for example,
offshoot of a German
the number that
society.
They used was Skull and Bones at Yale University. And that date that most of these planned events occur, which is usually, obviously, March 22nd every year, they're referencing Genesis chapter 3, verse 22. The man has now become like one of us, knowing good and evil. He must not be allowed to reach out his hand and take also from the tree of life and eat and live forever. Well, these are the people who believe in all their secret teachings that they are the ones, they are the chosen ones who have that forbidden knowledge.
So pretty weird stuff. 9/11 on the clock as the apocalyptic horses drenched in blood run through London. What the hell's going on with that? Let me know your thoughts in the chat. Poor horses. Yeah, like you said, like you guys were saying, Mama Mac and Mandy. Let's skip over to our next topic. Judge Aileen Cannon unsealed. We know that she unsealed the docs, but we have information about the lead prosecutor threatening the Trump's valet and trying to bribe him in exchange for client's testimony against Trump. Judge Aileen Cannon on Wednesday unsealed more records related to Jack Smith's classified documents against Trump. The newly unsealed documents detail allegations that Jack Smith's prosecutor Jay Bratt threatened Stanley Woodward, an attorney for Trump's valet driver, Walt Nauta. Okay, so clarifying. Jay Bratt tried to bribe Stanley Woodward and threatened him with a sinking judicial nomination if he didn't get Walt Nauta to testify against Trump. Upon Mr. Woodward's arrival at Maine Justice, he was led to a conference room where Mr. Bratt awaited with what appeared to be a folder containing information about Mr. Woodward. That's what they always do. They try to bribe you into compliance. Mr. Bratt thereupon told Mr. Woodward he didn't consider considered to be a Trump lawyer, and he further said that he was aware that Mr. Woodward had been recommended to President Biden for an appointment to the Superior Court of the District of Columbia. Ooh, if you comply, we'll bump you up, give you a promotion. Mr. Bratt followed up with words to the effect of, quote, "I wouldn't want you to do anything to mess that up." According to the newly unsealed records, Judge Cannon is on an unsealing binge, Julie Kelly writes on X. Unsealed records detail allegations that Jay Bratt, Jack Smith's lead prosecutor in the classified docs case, threatened Stanley Woodward, attorney for Walt Nauta, with sinking a judicial nomination if he didn't get his client to flip on Trump. From its inception, this investigation has been tainted by prosecutorial misconduct. On August 24th, 2022, attorney Stanley Woodward, who represents Walt Nauta, met with Jay Bratt, one of the lead prosecutors in the matter, at the Department of Justice. This was the first time that Woodward had ever met with Bratt. Upon Woodward's arrival at Maine Justice, he was led into a conference room, which we already read, which is bananas. Thereafter, Mr. Bratt advised Mr. Woodward that one way or another, quote unquote, his client, Walt Nauta, would be giving up his lavish lifestyle of private planes and golf clubs, and he encouraged Mr. Woodward to persuade Mr. Nauta to cooperate with the government's investigation. This was prior to the appointment of the special counsel. Mr. Woodward has long been an extremely professional and upstanding officer of the court. Mr. Bratt's statement suggested a quid pro quo, or even a threat intended to cause Mr. Woodward to persuade his client to cooperate with Mr. Bratt. In other words, play ball or you'll have no chance of becoming a judge. Under such circumstances, it is appropriate for the court to ease the secrecy protections typically afforded by Rule 6E so that it may determine if similar egregious behavior has made its way into this unprecedented investigation, particularly regarding the testimony of Mr. Nauta. She continues, this is how the DOJ described the August 24th, 2022 meeting with Woodward about 2 weeks after the FBI raid of Mar-a-Lago. Nauta is one of Trump's closest personal aides. Participated by video. The prosecutors present in person were Jay Bratt, Chief of Counterintelligence and Export Control Section, Julie Edelstein, Department Chief of CES, and Brett Reynolds, trial attorney at CES. Michael Thacker, Assistant U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida, participated by video. Bratt, who took the lead on the meeting on behalf of the government, informed Woodward that Nauta had criminal exposure and that he was the subject of a grand jury investigation. Bratt also informed Woodward that the government was interested in obtaining Nauta's potential cooperation and resolving his situation. So, if you help us out, maybe we'll forget about it. Woodward asked the topics on which Nauta's cooperation was being sought, and the prosecutors informed him that the focus was on Nauta's involvement in moving boxes. Woodward indicated that he had not yet met with Nauta to discuss the matter, but that he would speak with Nauta and might be interested in providing an attorney proffer after he spoke with his client. At the conclusion of the meeting, Woodward indicated that he would get back to the prosecutors after speaking with Nauta. At no point during the meeting did Woodward suggest that any of the prosecutors' comments were improper. Kind of interesting. Bratt/Jack Smith referred the matter to the DOJ's Office of Professional Responsibility, LOL. I'm sure a diligent investigation is underway. June 7th, 2022, at Bratt's request, Special Counsel Office reached out to OPR so they could make a self-referral of this issue for OPR's review. Such self-referrals are made routinely when allegations are made against the Department of Justice prosecutors in order to ensure the integrity of our work. The self-referral is in no way an indication that Bratt or the Special Counsel Office's belief that he did anything inappropriate. The self-referral is in no way an indication that Bratt or the Special Counsel Office's belief they did it. All right, that's not a real sentence, but the point comes across. It could have been worded a little bit better. Interesting. So they're leveraging people threatening them to comply to help sink Trump. Get Trump. That's what it all comes down to. Get Trump. Ooh, we have another interesting story during the immunity hearings. Justice Thomas brought up Operation Mongoose, which is pretty wild. Anthony Scott wrote this article. Conservative Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas poked holes in Special Prosecutor Jack Smith's theory that Trump is the first president to face criminal charges because former presidents have never committed crimes. They literally tried to claim that, oh, well, Trump's just the only person being prosecuted because no presidents have committed crimes before. What? What? Operation Gladio, Northwoods, you name it. Johnson orchestrating the USS Liberty attack with Israel, the Gulf of Tonkin incident, 9/11. There are so many different crimes. Arguably, 3/4 of what the presidents do is committing crimes because they've so vastly overstepped their constitutional limitations from Article 1, Section 8, the delegation of powers. The Congress has gone so far beyond that most of what they say or do is probably unconstitutional and criminal. Sean, what's up, bro? You download that Rumble app yet? I'm gonna have to piss you off pretty soon. We're at 56 minutes. So crazy. Supreme Court heard Thursday oral arguments on Trump's presidential immunity claim in Jack Smith's case. Jack Smith's prosecutor Michael Dreeben went before SCOTUS Thursday and argued that presidents do not have immunity for their official acts conducted during their time in the office. Dreeben further argued that no former president besides Trump has ever committed crimes. In response to Dreeben's argument, Justice Clarence Thomas stated, let's watch, because we have audio of this, and let's let Clarence, Mr. Justice Clarence Thomas speak for himself. Struggled finding the terminology for a split second right there in a blonde moment. I was blonde when I was a little kid. Let's check this out. Operation Mongoose. Clarence Thomas going deep.
Over in not so distant past, the presidents or certain presidents have engaged in various activity, coups or operations like Operation Mongoose when I was a teenager, and yet there were no prosecutions. Why? If what you're saying is right, it would seem that would have been ripe for criminal prosecution of someone.
So, Justice Thomas, I think this is a central question. The reason why there have not been prior criminal prosecutions is that there were not crimes.
Were not crimes. Unbelievable.
The presidents or certain presidents have engaged in various activity, coups or
overthrowing Iran, overthrowing
operations like
all kinds of
Operation
things.
Mongoose when I was a teenager.
Unbelievable. They, like we talked about with John Perkins and Confessions of an Economic Hitman, they go into countries like Argentina or Brazil or Iran, and they leverage them. They put them in debt with loans, and when they can't repay them, they take their property, their resources, use it to control them, use it to take over and install their own puppet leaders. Libya, going into Libya, getting, bringing slavery back in Libya, entering Iraq, crimes against humanity, all kinds of crazy, the 500,000 dead Iraqi children that Madeleine Albright said was perfectly fine and worth it during the original Middle East invasion under Bush 41. Tons and tons and tons of crimes committed by presidents, none of which have been prosecuted. But no president's ever committed a crime before. Completely ridiculous. Completely ridiculous. Operation Mongoose. Let's Let's see. Yeah, look at that. JFK files. CIA plotted to kill Castro. More crimes. Plotting assassinations. This is ridiculous. The reason why there have not been prior criminal prosecutions is there were not crimes. All of your credibility, poof, gone. The covert operation by the CIA received backlash from attorney Robert F. Kennedy after he discovered the CIA hired a member of the Italian mafia to assassinate Castro. Other sinister plans by the CIA discovered by Robert Kennedy included the CIA's plan to bomb areas of Miami where Cuban refugees were living. Completely crazy. Completely crazy. Let's see if we can find something on Operation Mongoose. Designated to do what the Bay of Pigs invasion failed to do. Take out Castro. This is just crazy. The idea that anybody would actually argue that no president has committed a crime before. Total madness. Total madness. You want to see some other total madness, like the way that the judicial system right now is ruining their own credibility without the foresight of how it's going to affect our station as a beacon of justice, etc. Look at this. No foresight with this guy either. Dude attacks a bus driver, causing the bus to crash in like a perfect example, a microcosm of what's going on with the country right now. The actions of these deranged people are causing the country to crash, but they're, operating on emotion and not logic, and it's causing all of our downfall. Cassandra McDonald wrote this as well. Absolutely insane video captures a passenger attacking a bus driver in Oklahoma City on Wednesday, causing the vehicle to crash into a building. Holy hell, let's take a look at this. Bus is moving, man. No driver now. We have no driver. Holy balls. And boom, we hit a building. At least it wasn't going that fast. He was able to stay standing. But holy shit. What kind of, how many Fettermans do you have to be operating on in your brain to remove a driver from a bus? It's like being on a plane and killing the pilot. It's like, what the, you gotta be, zero IQ, room temperature IQ. Oklahoma City police said Harrison was mad that the driver would not make an unscheduled stop due to the city's policy. Local station KFOR reports another angle showed a passenger trying to break up the attack as the driver is thrown to the floor. Shortly after, the bus can be seen veering off the road and into a business. A seatbelt saved the bus driver from being thrown through the windshield. Oh, it does look like he's strapped up there. And shortly after, the bus can be seen. Oh, sorry, I read that part already. Driver was not seriously injured, but had some mild bumps and bruises. But it's just ridiculous. You're going to do something that's going to cause the downfall of the whole system. That's exactly what's happening on a large scale with the country right now. Let's go back to the immunity hearing. Trump attorney humiliates Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson during oral arguments on immunity claim. Christina Layla, John Sauer, the Missouri-based attorney for Trump, humiliated liberal Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson during Thursday's oral arguments on Trump's immunity claim before the Supreme Court. SCOTUS on Thursday heard the arguments, obviously. Trump's lawyers had previously argued that Trump is immune as president. The main distinction here is between prosecution for official and not personal acts. What constitutes an official act, what constitutes a personal, non-presidential act. Ketanji Brown Jackson, the dumbest woman on the high court, allegedly, who can't define a woman, hilariously, set herself up when she tried to argue that future presidents would be emboldened to commit crimes if they had immunity from prosecution. They don't have immunity from prosecution. They can still be prosecuted by Congress. The idea that there's immunity from prosecution is ridiculous. Let's take a listen.
National strife, which will
no. Let me put this worry on the table. If the potential for criminal liability is taken off the table, wouldn't there be a significant risk that future presidents would be emboldened to commit crimes with abandon while they're in office? It's right now the fact that we're having this debate because OLC has said that presidents might be prosecuted. Presidents from the beginning of time have understood that that's a possibility. That might be what has kept this office from turning into the kind of crime center that I'm envisioning. But once we say, no criminal liability, Mr. President, you can do whatever you want, I'm worried that we would have a worse problem than the problem of the president feeling constrained to follow the law while he's in office.
I respectfully disagree with that because the regime you've described is the regime we've operated under for 234 years. There has not been an expectation based on 234 years of unbroken political.
All right, let me ask you another question. Let me ask you another question about this clear statement line
Just forget about
questioning. First of all, I didn't see you
the entire history of the country.
I don't know. I understand that you have that set of.
Is it because of precedent though? Like, my question is, all these presidents committed crimes. Were they not prosecuted because there was immunity, or were they not prosecuted because the whole system is corrupt and everybody's bought off, and they weren't willing to stick their heads up like a flower to get lopped off by trying to prosecute the presidents for their blatantly illegal and criminal acts? That's my question. That's right, Mandy. Complete and total douche canoe. Former Gorsuch law clerk Mike Davis on Thursday predicted SCOTUS will likely rule 5-4 or 6-3 in favor of President Trump in his presidential immunity case because it puts the court in a safer position. He went on War Room with Steve Bannon. Let's check it out.
Why are you saying that from what you've heard in the arguments? I'll get to the 6-3-5-4 in a minute, but just the narrow versus broad, what drives you to that conclusion already?
Well, it's just it's a safer place for the Supreme Court to be. They don't like to decide more than they need to decide, and that's just any federal judge does not want to decide more than they need to decide, especially when you're dealing with a novel legal issue like whether a president of the United States is immune from criminal prosecution for their official acts. And I think you're going to have a very narrow holding here, and it's simply this: that the president, any president, is immune from criminal prosecution for their official acts. Not their personal acts, their official acts. The case gets remanded, and then Judge Tanya Chutkan, who stupidly held that the president has no immunity. You can just throw a president in jail for their official acts, which is just absurd. And then 2 Biden judges and a weak Bush 43 judge on the D.C. Circuit rubber stamp that because they're mindless and think through their decision, or maybe their Trump derangement fried their brain. But this is so much bigger than Donald Trump. This is about the presidency and the country. If you can throw a president in prison for his official acts, we're going to destroy our presidency and therefore our country. And I think that argument resonates very well with Chief Justice John Roberts and Justice Brett Kavanaugh.
Why do you say that you think between 6-3 and 5-4 it's Amy Coney Barrett? What is it Barrett's questions? Is it how she's prodding into the case? What leaves her as the swing factor, you think, from a 6-3 to a 5-4?
She is a law professor, and law professors, sometimes they overthink things, and this is not something that you need to overthink. We've had immunity for civil prosecution for presidents going back to the Nixon case 40 years ago. We've had immunity, both criminal and civil immunity, for federal judges. We've had criminal and civil immunity for members of Congress. For federal judges, it's not in the Constitution or in statute that they are immune from criminal prosecution. It is part of our separation of powers, because if you can throw judges in prison for their official acts, you're going to destroy the judiciary. If you can throw members of Congress in prison for their official acts, you're going to destroy the legislative branch. If you can throw the president in prison for his official acts, you're going to destroy the presidency.
Mike Davis dropping bombs. I think he is a lawyer for Benny Johnson as well. He makes frequent appearances on that channel. Let's see what we got here. Mama Mac sharing some interesting stuff. Wow! Congressman Michael McCall, who wrote the TikTok ban bill, invested $1.15 million into Meta after writing the bill before it was passed from Wall Street Apes. On March 3rd, he authored the TikTok ban bill. Let me see if I can zoom and enhance this at all. Yeah, here we go. March 30, authored the TikTok ban bill. On March 22nd, he invested $150,000 in Meta. On March 26th, he invested another $150K. And again on the 28th, so about 3 weeks after writing the TikTok ban bill, he invested $450,000 in TikTok's competitor. Oh, and then what did he do once he saw his TikTok ban was going to be included with all the Ukraine funding? Well, on April 1st, he invested $350,000 more in Meta, followed by the 5th, where he invested that again. Then about 1 week later, of course, he voted yes on the bill he wrote. So within the span of 40 days, this dude wrote the TikTok ban bill, proceeded to invest $450,000 in the competitor, then invested another $700,000, taking his total investment in Meta at a $1.15 million. That's insane. And then he voted yes. Now, obviously, the word most people are using here is suspicious, but the word we should be using is criminal. This man wrote the bill to ban TikTok, proceeded to invest more than $1 million in his competitor, whose stock will skyrocket if TikTok actually gets banned, and then voted on the bill to ban it. Yeah, super corrupt. Good find, Mama Mac. Good find. I'll have to look into that. Sounds funny. Why wouldn't you just make a bill that bans tech companies from using our data like that? Yeah, that's what we need. We need that type of bill exactly. Makes too much sense. Notably, that's right, Mandy. Thanks for the Rumble rant, Mandy, and notably for your repeated Rumble rants. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for the support. Loki's going to be happy with all the papaya she'll be eating. Yeah, that's right. Loki would never give me food, though. Darth Loki. Oh man, I made some Darth Loki skits. Maybe I'll try to find them and show them to you guys at some point, where I'm her human slave. It's pretty funny. Let's see, what do we got next? Oh, this is an interesting one. Former Foreign Affairs Congressman claims Gaza pier will be used to export Palestinians to U.S. and Canada. So are they building this pier that Biden was talking about just to make as a vehicle to bring Palestinians here? Are they trying to? Do they have like a backdoor deal between the U.S. and Israel that they're going to finish the job they started in the 40s when they created Israel? And move all the Palestinians over here and get them out of there? Well, I got another video in a second. Actually, before this would be a good time to play this video, since we're talking about a relocation of Palestinians. Theoretically, we'll jump back into this article in a moment, but I found the video I was talking about yesterday with President Truman. It's actually Truman discussing the formation of Israel and the relocation of the Palestinians. And speaking of presidents orchestrating coups and doing things that are outside of their power, this seems like something along those lines to me. I can't think of any legitimacy to this actions as president over here. Oh no, where's the audio? Have they silenced it? This is crazy. Stats for Nerds says that there should be audio.
Several other people in the...
Okay, let's hear what we can hear.
Floyd Anderson was one of them. We had several other people in the country, even among the Jews, the Zionists particularly, who were against anything that was to be done if they couldn't have the whole of Palestine and everything handed to them on a silver plate so they wouldn't have to do anything. It couldn't be done. We had to take it in small doses. You can't move 5 or 6 million people out of a country and fill it up with 5 or 6 million more and expect both sets of them to be pleased. We had all sorts of objections to everything that was done. Something had to be done. We went ahead and done it, and had it done, and now it's working out. Eventually, I think we'll have them all satisfied, but it's going to take a great deal of time yet to get the job done.
Could you tell us that they were worried about war with the Arabs?
Who gave you the authority to do this? To relocate 6 million people, and now are they going to be finishing the job, evacuating the rest of the Palestinians from Palestine? Is Israel going to be taking the rest of that? Are they going to be relocating the Palestinians here? That's right, Sean. It's pure evil. It's pure evil. That was a pretty good one. I think that sounded pretty spot on.
It's pure evil!
Oh, man. I don't know. This whole situation is mad sketchy. Extremely, extremely sketchy. So let's jump back into the video over here, or to the article. Part of the $9 billion in relief being sent to the Palestinians of the Gaza Strip, claims a former congressman who sat for years on the Foreign Affairs Committee, is secret funding for massive Palestinian resettlement in America and Canada. Rep. Paul Gosar of Arizona noted online that the billions being sent to Gaza are suspicious, in that the funds seem disconnected from the reality of a true humanitarian mission. The funds are legally worded in such a way as to give Biden and his team the ability to do whatever they want with the money, Sean. I'm giving you 4 minutes to download that Rumble app, because we're going to ditch YouTube really shortly. You bastard. Paul Gosar posted, I'm pouring through the pages of the 3 supplemental funding bills. Don't buy what they're selling. Came across this on page 11. International disaster assistance. $5,655 million to remain available until expended to address humanitarian needs and, quote, migration and refugee assistance. $3.495 billion for a total of $9 billion. That's billion with a B. Big. Bad. That's going to, quote, humanitarian needs in Gaza. Translation, $9 billion to Hamas to redirect those funds for more terrorist activities in the region. So that's interesting. Let's jump back over to the article. The passage of the $95 billion funding bill was very controversial, obviously. The proposed pier in question here is allegedly just for humanitarian relief. Mainstream news outlets claim that the only controversy about the pier is how Israel might interfere with the access point. The U.S. military is constructing the pier. We should not be doing anything over there. This is madness that the U.S. military is doing anything. What are we doing? Why are we clearing out, why did we clear out Palestine for the Zionists? Why are we functioning as a puppet for Israel? It's nuts. It's nuts. The Reaper! Thanks, brother. Oh, yeah. She's all loaded up with millet, papaya, and peanuts, and all kinds of good stuff over there right now. Some rolled up paper towels to chew on, to shred into pieces. She loves that. In her earth, people. Ridiculous. The U.S. military is constructing the pier when we shouldn't even be over there, and we were briefly under mortar fire today, though there were no casualties and no damage to the construction. This is ridiculous. One expert in the Middle East is sounding concern and alarm about how the pier might be used, however. Congressman Steve Stockman, who was in Congress for 2 consecutive terms, his first as part of the Republican Revolution of 1994, where he served from 95 to 97, And again, as part of the Tea Party wave, elected in 2012 and serving from 2013 to 2015, Stockman served on the Foreign Affairs Committee and had extensive knowledge of international affairs and the affairs in the Middle East. Interestingly, people always give the Tea Party movement false origins. They claim that this one dude started it with this appearance on NBC or something, but it's bullshit. Ron Paul started... It's bullshit! Ron Paul started the Tea Party in 2007 in December when he held the first Tea Party in Boston. They had a Ron Paul Revolution Tea Party. And then the neocons co-opted the Tea Party movement and claimed credit for it and usurped it and took it over and redirected it, unfortunately, because we couldn't have Ron Paul being the leader of a massive movement that ended up turning into the Trump movement. Crazy, though. Back to the article. Stockman was harassed by the deep state for trying to impeach the IRS, Lois Lerner, and Democrat President Obama, and was sentenced to 10 years in prison, and later had his sentence mercifully commuted by President Trump around Christmas Day in 2020. The DOJ deep state also tried to prosecute Stockman because he was being considered in 2017 for an ambassadorship to the UAE. Stockman says that from his contacts and also understanding how the left in power works, what's being planned is a, quote, massive resettlement of Palestinians to the West. This is crazy. This is crazy. The first thing that Speaker Johnson did when he got his position was put an Israeli funding bill on the floor. Something is going on. Massive amounts of people are compromised and are puppets of Israel. This is madness. We need to stop this somehow. The $9 billion in relief aid wasn't meant to actually help the Palestinians who need it, Stockman said. They structured it as, quote, humanitarian aid because legally that definition is so broad that they can repurpose the aid however they want. It's a classic congressional con game with this funding. It's part of the billions and trillions spent every year by the deep state to accomplish its goals, and most of it is right out in the open. They're going to use this money to resettle Palestinians in America using this pier the same way the militant left used Muslim refugees from Syria to colonize Europe. This is crazy. Stockman blames the quiet and covert alleged influence of President Barack Hussein Obama. Barack Hussein, lightning from heaven, Antichrist. Obama and his team, who are the real power behind the throne with senile Crooked Joe, want to bring 2 million hate-filled anti-Americans here to help them win elections and divide and destroy the native population. Their goal is to destroy you, your family, and your neighborhood, said Stockman. And it sounds like fear porn, but it's actually true in this case. The left creates all this false fear. This is like fear of real stuff. Like if your house is on fire, somebody says, your house is on fire. It's not to manipulate you using fear, because fear is one of the most powerful forms of manipulation, trauma-based mind control, etc. But if there's actually a fire, it's not fear-mongering. It's informing you of reality so you can make proper decisions to save and protect yourself. People are always talking about Alex Jones like that. Oh, he's a fear-monger. No, he's telling you the house is on fire. The people saying Trump is going to kill people and Trump is going to, do all this horrible stuff. Those are the fear mongers with a bunch of lies. But you should be scared of things that are an actual danger to you. Like Paine lets you know when you're doing something that's fucking up your body so you can not do that anymore. If you didn't have pain, you'd someone with nerve disorder on their feet, they'll look down and their whole heel will be gone. Walking outside and they don't realize that they scrape themselves up. Pain serves a function to let you know that you need to recalibrate to not damage your body. Fear is the same thing. Fear has a biological function to keep you safe. It can also be used to manipulate you, but when there's a real cause for fear, it's important to understand what the actual threats are so that fear can have the appropriate effect. So yeah, their goal is to destroy you, your family, and your neighborhood. And it's true in this case. They brought millions into Europe the same way, which I was calling out at the time, although I didn't have a show at the time. They opened up the borders. There were no-go zones in France. Sweden, remember the rape capital of the world, when Trump was talking about rape in Sweden, and they were like, oh, this is nonsense. And then there's a music festival like that night, and a bunch of Swedish women are raped by Muslim immigrants, proving Trump's point. Friends of mine in France were like, there's no-go zones and stuff. I'm like, yeah, there are. Look at all the Muslim leaders that have also taken control of countries. Rishi Sunak in the UK, that dude in Scotland that we talked about recently. Nobody. But, Paine serves an important function. I think that you would probably attest to that, D. It's really important. Yeah. So they brought millions into Europe in the same way. The left sparks a war. The left refuses to fight the war. Then they use the refugees created by their actions to restructure societies they hate. They're bringing those Palestinians to America just the same way they keep open borders to accomplish the same purpose. Ding, 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 ding. And Europe was the test case. They opened up the borders, started bringing in all kinds of people to subvert the society. That's the purpose. They're like, oh, inclusion, diversity. They don't care about that. They're just subverting you because they want to control you and bring you down. That's what it seems like is going on to me. Let's see. Federal government sources also relate that the Biden DOJ has approved nearly all of the refugee claims with nearly zero scrutiny. So they're just letting people in, not scrutinizing their claims of being refugees at all. Sounds typical. Some have also pointed to claims in the past that humanitarian aid and food aid sent to Gaza was substantially misappropriated and turned into profitable reselling opportunities. Just like all the money going to Ukraine. Remember, there were articles saying that 70% of it, they didn't know what even happened to it. And then the guns that end up in the Ukrainian hands are being sold on the black market. Just like all those guns and stuff that with $80 billion worth of gear that Obama, Freudian slip, that Joe Obama left in Afghanistan. It's madness. Madness. Oh, you guys saw this clip. We played that on the show, right? Of the lady threatening the Bakersfield mayor. I used to hear that Bakersfield was like a shithole back in the day from California friends. Now I'm realizing that it was probably the best place because it's like a Republican stronghold, apparently, which I didn't know. Look at this. World Food Program humanitarian aid sold to Palestinians on the street of Gaza, despite the boxes being labeled not for sale. They're supposed to be giving this stuff out, and they're profiting off of it in true scumbag fashion. Exactly, that's right, D. So when you don't have that pain, you'll injure yourself without even noticing it. As much as pain sucks, we need it, and you don't appreciate the pleasure if you don't have the pain, just like you don't appreciate happiness if you don't have sadness. The yin and the yang, you need the lows to appreciate the highs. So as much as horrible things happen to all of us, they give us perspective, which you need. Let's see, what do we got next? We've got Lion Joe at it again. He's just out there on the campaign trail, just saying whatever comes to his mind. My Uncle Bozy got eaten by cannibals. He used to drive a truck. His Uncle Bozy got eaten by cannibals. He grew up in the black churches and the Puerto Rican communities and all of this stuff. Now he tells Howard Stern he saved 6 people from drowning when he was a lifeguard. I got hairy legs. I sit on the stand and the kids would put their hands in the pool and rub their hands up and down my legs, and I learned about roaches. And I had kids jumping up and down on my lap, and I loved kids jumping up and down on my lap. These people, like, this is so crazy. Another lie! Joe Biden on Friday morning called into the Howard Stern show, the scumbag commie show, in an unannounced appearance on the far left shock jock Sirius XM show. Biden's interview with Howard Stern was a total dumpster fire, as to be expected. Biden told Stern he, quote, got arrested standing on a porch with a black family during the civil rights movement. They also had an article about this. We'll jump into that in a sec after we finish this one. He claimed women would send very salacious pictures to him when he was a U.S. senator in the 70s, when he was already half bald. Just funny, the physical transformations. I saw an analysis the other day of the plastic surgeons, one particular prominent plastic surgeon analyzing Joe Biden and coming to the conclusion that he's had a lot of work done. A whole lot of work. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. So, U.S. senators do not have secret service. Oh, here we go. Sorry. Lost my spot. I got put in the 10 most eligible bachelors list, Biden said. Because you're a United States senator? Howard Stern asked Biden. Biden continues, a lot of lovely women. Women would send very salacious pictures, and I'd just give them to the Secret Service. But senators don't have Secret Service protection, so he's confusing things. Joe Biden also told Stern he saved 6 people from drowning when he was a lifeguard back in the day. You ever save anyone's life when you were a lifeguard? Yeah, half a dozen times, Biden said. Let's check it out.
I learned a lot. And I made a lot of friends.
Did you ever save anyone's life when you were a lifeguard? Was anyone ever drowning?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah, well, half a dozen times. Usually younger kids, but...
You do the thing with the whistle and then jump in the bathing suit? And
you got it.
No kidding.
Yeah, there's a big pool. There were 7 lifeguard stands.
Wow. See, that would define my... I would brag about that everywhere I went.
Well, by the way, I did it up in Lake Ontario, too, when I was in law school. But look, one of the things that...
Dude, you saved a dude's life when you were in law school? You were still doing the lifeguard thing?
Yeah, lifeguards, people just need help sometimes. It's not like it's so heroic.
We don't have to play the whole corn pop story, but you remember that. Hilarious. So here we have the clip from where he talks about getting arrested standing on a porch with a black family during the civil rights movement. He's done everything. Biden's been everywhere, man. You just can't make this stuff up. Christina Layla wrote this one as well. Joe Biden on Friday morning called into the Howard Stern show. I think I should leave now, Biden joked, as Stern slobbered all over him. Ugh. That's right. Evil is gay. Super, super gay. Oh, man. I know everyone's going to think I'm doing a fake interview with you, Howard Stern said, but you're really here. You're really here. Let's check out the clip.
And I looked at my mom. I said, honey, you haven't said anything. She said, Joey, remember? True story. She said, remember when they were desegregating Linfield, the neighborhood? There was, 70 homes built at one suburbia. And I told you, and there was a black family moving in, and there was people who were down there protesting. I told you not to go down there, and you went down. Remember that? And you got arrested by standing on the porch with a black family.
Right.
And they brought you back, the police. And I said, yeah, Mom, I remember that.
I wasn't ragging on you, D. I just didn't want to divulge your medical information, but I was using your case as an example, of how important pain is, even though it sucks. Definitely wasn't ragging on you, so sorry if it came across that way. Just thought it was a valuable, lesson. And it's not, it's out of your control, so not like a lesson for you to learn, but just a conceptual lesson showing how important pain is. Because if you don't have it, you can get super injured, unfortunately. But hoping that you're making a good recovery over there, D. And didn't mean to Make it sound like I was ragging on you. Quite the opposite. Quite the opposite. I love you, D. You know that. Look at this. We got a new George Floyd situation popping off over here. Colin Rugg with 2 L's and 2 G's on X. New 53-year-old man dies after being taken to the ground by the police and telling him that he couldn't breathe. Another I can't breathe happening over here, as Ohio man Frank Tyson was motionless on the ground. One officer could be heard bragging about the, quote, bar fight. Tyson had just gotten out of prison, according to a local news outlet. It wasn't until one officer actually decided to check on Tyson that he noticed they didn't have a pulse. The officers reportedly ignored Tyson's motionless body for 5 minutes. He was later pronounced dead at the hospital. The incident came after police were led to Tyson while responding to a single car crash. So this guy allegedly crashed a car and then fled into this bar where he was then apprehended. According to News 5 Cleveland, Tyson had been released from prison just 2 weeks earlier. He had finished serving a 24-year sentence for kidnapping and theft. All that's, it's, you served your time, you got out. When the police come to find you, comply. Just comply. If they're violating your rights, take it up with the courts later. Otherwise, you're putting yourself in a position where they're going to have to use physical force, and you're probably going to get killed if you keep resisting and resisting. I'm not saying that it's right what the police did here, but it happened. Let's take a look at some of this video.
No, we're going outside. We're going outside.
You can see he's not complying.
They're trying to kill me. They're trying to kill me. They're trying to kill me. Why you trying to kill me? They trying to kill me. They trying to kill me. Kill me, the sheriff department. Call the sheriff.
Just comply, man. Why is it that people don't comply with police? I was taught growing up, you got pulled over, hands on the wheel, Yes, officer. So this is going to cause, thanks, Mom Mac. This is definitely going to be causing some problems. This guy is... They wouldn't kill you if you just comply, bro. This is not complicated. This doesn't take rocket appliances.
You want that one? Say when. You're good.
Sean sent me an interesting video in Connecticut from a couple weeks ago where cops shot a guy in a basement. D. Except for that one time. We don't talk about that one time.
Stop fighting. I can't read. I can't read. I can't.
Stop fighting. Yeah, Alicia, that's probably right.
That's the story right there.
He's got to be all drugged up. George Kirby, Tim, Fentanyl Floyd, Ron Paul, rap. Yeah, that's right, Sean.
So I thought he's here to pick up the to-go order.
I've always wanted to be in a bar fight. I don't know if this counts.
Oh man, this guy's in trouble.
Those conversations continued over the next several
That's right,
minutes.
Tim.
It took officers
FAFO,
FAFO. From the point Tyson was
Fuck around and find out,
to check on
bitch.
him.
Did he calm down?
Yeah,
So they didn't check on him for 5 minutes. Just left him lying there. They're going to be in trouble for that, for sure. Highly unprofessional to just leave him lying there. So, you guys are fucked. You're all going to prison.
Another 3 minutes to realize something was seriously wrong.
You didn't learn your lesson that you can't stop black criminals because then you're automatically the bad guy. Apparently. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. dude's probably, who knows? Who knows how he died? Maybe it was another overdose like Fentanyl Floyd, who had an over-lethal dose of fentanyl in his system, for all we know. Rest in peace. Sorry that he died, but just comply, man. How do people not comply? You're setting yourself up for this situation. Yep, I'm with you, Tim. Total dirtbag. Held a gun to a pregnant woman's belly, allegedly, in a robbery, a home break-in. And then they lionize him and make statues of him. Yeah, that's right. It was a psyop used to radicalize and weaponize the BLM movement for the cultural subversion. Like we watched that chart the other day with all the mentions of racism in news, and then it skyrockets. It was an acceleration of that operation. Crazy B Gaming. Thanks, B. Appreciate it. Make sure to everybody to go subscribe to Crazy B Gaming. Mama Mac with the pericarditis and myocarditis going around. You mean with the climate change going around, Mama Mac? I expect more people will drop when stressed due to heart issues. Yeah, big time. Big time. Why are our cops training with IDF? Holy hell. I haven't heard about that. That's crazy. That's crazy. Send some links to that if you got any info. So yeah, expect this to pop off, and we may see like round 2 of BLM riots in cities as the fallout of this incident trickles down into the mass consciousness. In other news, Rep. Tim Burchett sends letter to the House Oversight Committee requesting an investigation into Democrats' letters to private companies, asking them to censor conservative media and One America News Network, OAN. Jordan Conradson put this article together. Rep. Tim Burchett Wednesday sent a letter to the House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer requesting an investigation into congressional Democrats' history of quote, pressuring private companies to shut down the speech of those with different ideologies than theirs. According to Burchett, in 2021, congressional Democrats sent official letters to numerous private television companies, urging them to take retaliatory action against certain right-wing media outlets like Newsmax, Fox News, and OAN. What are private television companies? How do they take retaliatory action? What does that even mean? This led several cable companies to cancel contracts. There you go, with OAN. Oh, cable companies. I got you. So trying to prevent these networks from being carried on TV. It's insane. The government is not supposed to be interfering in the markets like this, especially for reasons regarding speech and freedom of expression and trying to control the public dialogue. This is crazy. As the Gateway Pundit previously reported in January 2022, Joe Biden and the Democrats ordered the far-left tech giants and media outlets to banish voices that deviated from the regime's official narrative. DirecTV then notified OAN that following a routine internal review, they would not review the contract to carry the channel. President Trump later suggested during a rally in Florence, Arizona, that supporters should boycott woke DirecTV and AT&T, which owns 70% of cable TV service, for bowing down to their leftist overlords. Seriously, cancel DirecTV if they're canceling OAN. Don't use AT&T. Don't use DirecTV. DirecTV later announced they were deplatforming Newsmax in January 2023, but reached an agreement with the company and returned the channel to their platform on March 23rd, 2023. I hate these people, man. I hate all of them. I hate them. Leftist Verizon also dropped OAN and later in 2022, claiming the negotiations with OAN were typical and usual, and that OAN did not agree to, quote, fair terms. However, OAN disagreed. The pro-Trump MAGA channel hosts told a different story, insisting nothing was typical about the negotiations, and Verizon did not even attempt to negotiate a contract. The idea of large publicly traded companies taking retaliatory action against conservative outlets is concerning, especially if the government was behind it. Even more troubling, however, is the continued effort by congressional Democrats to violate Americans' constitutionally protected rights. Burchett writes, that is why I respectfully request an investigation and hearing on the continued censorship of conservative news media outlets. Burchett states in his letter before urging the House Republican majority to stop letting Democrats, quote, deny our constituents access to information. Congress must also investigate attempts by the federal government, including the Department of Defense, Department of Homeland Security, and the Biden regime's army of government agencies for their continued censorship of conservative media outlets like the Gateway Pundit and One America News on social media and in their own private networks. Remember, Gateway Pundit was blocked on the House Wi-Fi in the House of Representatives, or maybe it was just Congress Wi-Fi in general. That was pretty crazy. I don't think we ever got any updates on that. Matt Gaetz was going to investigate it, was trying to get a response from Speaker Johnson about it. Did you guys hear any updates to that? Let me know in the chat. Rep. Tim Burchett announced his letter to the Oversight Committee on X earlier this week, posting members of Congress are supposed to protect Americans' constitutional rights, not repress them. If Democrats are contacting private companies to shut down the folks at OAN because of their political views, that needs to be investigated and weeded out immediately. Weed. Read the full letter from Rep. Tim Burchett below. So if you guys want to read the full letter, it will be linked in the video description right down there beneath the video after the episode finishes. Probably worth reading. Tim Burchett's a good guy. He exposed the honeypot operation going on, how they'll lure you to hotel rooms with attractive women and get you compromised and use it to manipulate how you vote. He's also involved with the UAP, the UFO, and advanced technology legislation, trying to get a review board formed to analyze all of the alleged UFO stuff and technology. Basically, they were trying to demand that companies in the military industrial complex come forth and deliver the advanced technologies that they've developed and reverse engineered to Congress. And they're trying to form a review board to analyze all of it and reveal it to the public. But it seems like that got stagnated. What do you know? Just like I was predicting, everybody was like, oh, Jeremy Corbett and George Knapp, they're on our side. They were trying to get all this done. They're working with Chuck Schumer. I'm like, no, they're working with Chuck Schumer. They're working to prevent this from happening. And what do you know? Just like I predicted, it's been prevented from happening, it seems. I haven't heard any updates on that. I was talking with Sean about this, Sean Anderson from Anderson Inc. If you need tattoos in Connecticut. Speaking of which, Sean, it's time to ditch you, bro. We're going to shut down YouTube. Forgot. It's been way more than 4 minutes. All right, let me take the link to Rumble, post it over in the YouTube and Facebook chat, and we will have to ditch the big tech platforms. All right, links up on Facebook, links up on YouTube. Sean, download the Rumble app, man. Join us in the dark side. You know you want to search your feelings, Sean. You know this to be true. Come on, join us on Rumble. You know you want to. You already have a Rumble ID, an account made over there. You can do it. Come on, you know you want to. All right, we're going to ditch YouTube, go dual exclusive on Rumble and on X. Sorry if you can't join us. To anybody watching on the big tech platforms, we still love you, but we have to ditch you. If you can't join us, we'll catch you on the flip side on Monday. Until then, let's get ready.